Now, we're going to start with today's concept or today's agenda is to understand what exactly is prompt engineering. And this is something which is the, a revolution that can change the entire mankind. So it's something which is like uh, any scenario that we take it up today, it is associated or it somehow is getting over by AI. Okay, let me give you some examples of what changed the entire humanity. Okay, so human beings have been completely influenced by few inventions. Okay, let's look at those things. Now, there was a time when people used to, use horses and carts as their automobiles, and they used to move from one place to another place, for commute in carts. But then, you know, then people started realizing that we are going to have something new or better than this, horse carts, which happen to be cars, right? So when cars were invented, then people started shouting like, now we all the people who are chariot riders and cart riders, they are going to lose their jobs, because that's what will ultimately happen. This is something which would be the reality, and people who accepted that reality and then moved on and learned driving a car, God, I mean, like they had a new job, or the same job was extended. But those who were reluctant to move to cars lost their jobs completely and lost their livelihood as well. So if you see at this scenario, what is expected is, the summary of this slide is that we have to change according to the time, and what's in demand in the market is what we need to focus upon, instead of crying back on something which is not available anymore. So we are coming from a point where we have to be very clear that we need to move according to the time, and we need to move and learn what is required right now and what is in high demand right now. Okay, so those days when people were moving from carts, horse carts to cars, the best job was learning to drive a car, right? So rather than horse riding. Now here, and there is one more revolutionary device which we all of us use today. Okay, there was a time when people used to have a question like, what is the need of a smartphone? When we those days, like when we were small children, like Mohammed is also on the call, so he's my close friend, and he's from London. So he actually we used to think like, somebody is catching a BlackBerry phone. We used to think, yeah, they're doing it for show off, like, so what is the need of a BlackBerry? So what exactly do they do on the phone and all? But today, can we imagine any person in any profession? Can you imagine them without a smartphone? Of course, they can do it, but it's a lot difficult than doing it with smartphone, right? So it's like, imagine like, without a smartphone, it would be something like this. This is a scenario. This is a scenario that we have. Without a smartphone, doing things like is, without a car, you're walking from one state to another state, or one city to another city. That's very painful and time-taking process. But instead of that, when you have a car, you can easily move from one place to another place, right? So similar advantage is with the mobile smartphones today, right? So we are understanding about the various game changing innovations that happened in the past. One is moving from the horse carts to cars, and how the people had to move from driving a car to driving a car, right? And then how smartphones made our life easy, and how smartphones influenced our entire humanity. Of course, for every new invention that happens in the world, please remember that there will be side effects, like there will be drawbacks, like as my father always used to say, like, too much of anything is too bad. So of course, whether it might be a smartphone, whether it might be food, anything is too much of it, anything is too bad. So of course, like smartphones do have some diverse effects when used extremely, but otherwise it's something which saved a lot of people. Okay, it's highly influential today. Most influential device in our day-to-day life is the smartphones. Now, why are we talking about all these things? Because we are going to discuss about a concept which will be changing the entire humanity forever. Okay, and that concept happens to be a prompt engineering. So we need to understand what is prompt engineering and what exactly we are going to do as a prompt engineer, right? So this is what we need to learn. Okay, so what prompt engineering master, what does a prompt engineer do? And the art of generating AI responses is something which we'll discuss in detail. Okay, so before going to this, now, if you think of AI, okay, artificial intelligence, you might have heard about artificial intelligence. You might not have heard about artificial intelligence, but it is there in the market from quite some time now. If most of you, if you are looking at some shorts in YouTube Shorts, or you might be looking at some videos in Instagram, you can clearly make it out that that is not man-made. Okay, the voices are generated by the system or generated by the artificial intelligence, and even the images and videos are also generated by artificial intelligence, because a person will be there, his photo will be there, only lips will be moving and the sound will be coming. You can make it out that this is not a original one, but someone is doing it, right? So who is building these things? Okay, so now this entire infrastructure, complicated development and all is done in the in the back end. So imagine that these all technologies are like this car. We are least bothered about how the technology is been built, what is the concept and all. Okay, so we are not, are we bothered when we are learning to use a car? Are we bothered about how the car was made? What is the mechanism of it? No, we are not bothered about the mechanism, and we are not bothered about learning the mechanism of the car or understanding the architecture of a car. We are just bothered about how do we drive a car, and all that we have to do is we have to learn about the steering, clutch, accelerator, brake and gear. That's it. So that's a basic thing. Similarly, here as a prompt engineer, we need to learn how to make use of already existing AI tools in the market. Okay. Now what will happen? Just like our smartphones has influenced every profession today, right? So you just name a profession which is not affected by smartphone. Almost every profession, okay, 99% of the professions are being definitely affected by smartphones, and those who have smartphones do their work better than those who do not have the smartphones, of course, if used in a proper way, not by wasting our time on something which is not required, but if you use it properly, I think it will be the best thing, right? So similarly here we are focusing on learning certain techniques of making use of AI to do any task in the industry or any task in the organizations. Now, you might be experiencing the effect of AI in our day-to-day life, right? So normally, like if you're watching YouTube Shorts or Instagram videos, or maybe any such things, you can clearly see that there is something is happening now. I was watching a short in which the voice is very much similar to Amitabh Bachchan's voice, but it is definitely not Amitabh Bachchan. So now what happens here is, what you have is, we have a tool wherein we can upload a person's voice to a certain period. It then understands the voice, and whatever text you give, it will convert that into the exact person's voice, right? So just imagine in the future what would happen is, you can pick who should be your you can pick the characters of your movie, and you can give the voice over to them, and then you can create a movie on your own. Okay, so the system will automatically generate a movie according to the storyline that you give. That would be the kind of a future that we are going to have. Okay, so there are a lot of things, exciting things that will happen. But today, our focus is, how do we make use of this concept of prompt engineering? Okay, so basic thing is like what exactly is prompt engineering, and if we learn that, what will be the use of it. Okay, and let me tell you that there are some 4 crores, I mean like 4 crores in a sense, like 40 million jobs across the world on prompt engineering. Okay, and a few of them are being getting filled. Not even 10% of the people to throughout the world, or the not even 10% of the requirement will be fulfilled with the existing, people, existing, resources. So what we have is we need to build resources who are fit to go with prompt engineering as soon as possible. That's very important. Okay, so we're going to go ahead with that. Just a second. Before we move on, before we move on to the to understand what exactly is prompt engineering, I just want to show you uh, one quick demo of how it can work. Okay, okay, so this is something which we have. Let me just once share my screen back. Now let me just give you a basic demo of it. Like there is a very critical assignment to me. I have to I have to present something to a client, or there is one very big email that you have got. Okay, and you have to respond to it. Okay, and you can, you just have to do that. So how do we do that? So normally what happens is, like, if you get an email, you would be going ahead and asking someone who is expert in it, or you will take the guidance of someone who who is experienced in that. These all things will happen normally. But if you make use of AI, it can happen in fraction of minute, and it can happen very fast without anyone's help. Let's look at it. Let's take a scenario of, let's say I have to write a Python code. Okay, this is a requirement. Let's say we have a requirement. Need to write a Python code to say int all prime numbers less than 1000 and uh, more than say 10. Okay, so this is something which we have. This is a requirement. So normally this is a program. Actually, we need to, if you have to write this Python code, you need to know Python language. Okay, you need to understand. You need to know the Python language. Normally, in general, if it's a programming skill. Now there are some 40 to 50 languages that we have other than Python. Like maybe we have Java, we have C++, we have a lot of other R language. Okay, so we have a lot of other languages like this. But here, let's say we have to write this. Now for this, you should be an expert in Python, and you should be able to know it and how to do it and all. But if you are a prompt engineer, okay, let's assume that you are a prompt engineer and we have zero knowledge in Python. Okay, and this is the first time that you are listening to it, that Python is a coding language. Nothing, no issues. Now just now you learned that Python is a coding language, and in that coding language you have to write a program in such a way that it should do this. Okay, so from as a prompt engineer, okay, If it's a normal software developer who knows the coding, what he has to do is he has to take some time, understand this requirement, and then develop it. And normally in a company, they will give them at least half a day to 1 day of time. Means 8 hours of time will be given to develop this code, test it, and make sure that it's working. And then you have to send a mail to the concerned people that this is completed. Okay, and that can be done by an expert. Okay, but we are not experts. We don't even know what is Python. So now what I'll do is I'll just give this prompt to the AI. Okay, so I'll make use of a tool called ChatGPT. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the ChatGPT, and how many of you have to learn it. But anyways, we are going to learn that down the line. So now I would like to give something like, so I'll just fine tune this. Okay, now this is a requirement. Before I give this instruction, and before I tell the system to write it, what I'll do is I will actually just fine tune it. And how do I fine tune it? I'd like to give some, I would like to slightly change this as all prime numbers, not more than. I'll write it as, I'll remove this and I'll write all prime numbers greater than greater than 10 and less than 1000. Okay, I'll remove this and. So I'm changing the prompt. This is fine tuning the prompt. Now I'll copy this. I'll go to ChatGPT. I'll go to the ChatGPT. I'll log in. Remember, we don't know anything about coding. Okay, so we are not having any, and we don't have the interest to code also. Okay, we have zero knowledge on coding and we don't have interest to code also, but we have to solve this issue. Okay, so I have given the question here and I just copy. So need to write a Python code to, okay, this is what we have. Need to write a Python code to print all prime numbers greater than 10 and less than 1000. So now here we have the code. Now what I'll do is I'll copy this and then I'll go to I'll execute this. Okay, so for that I'll go with the, okay, so I'll go I'll now go to collab. Now, we don't have to worry about what to open to do this and all. I'll tell you these things, but I'm just telling you that here I'm using zero coding skills. Please remember that. Okay, and now I'll go with the, so where to execute this, don't worry about that because we're going to learn that later. This is something which we can learn it in a very few minutes, like where to copy paste this. All that we need to know is we have to copy paste it. Okay, I copy pasted it and executed it. Okay, I just copy pasted that code that ChatGPT gave to me, and then I'm executing it, and let's see what will happen. Okay, now it gives you all the prime numbers. Okay, all the prime numbers which are less than 1000. Okay, it is printing only the latest ones. Okay, It's a, it's giving a range from 10 to 1000, but it is printing a only the latest values from 607. Let me just change that to 100 now. Let me change that to 100. Okay, I can change that in the prompt as well, but I'll change it here in the code. So I just changed that to 100. Okay, so we are going to get the prime numbers between 10 and 100. Okay, these are the prime numbers between 10 and 100. Did we think of the question? No, we just hardly bothered about it. We are not trying to understand the program, and we are not trying to understand the question also. All that we are doing is making the work done. Okay, and in this way a prompt engineer can write code for 40 plus languages. So do you think there is a need for a coding a programmer in this? No. So obviously what is happening here is, sooner or later in the future, the programmers or the developers or the coding people will lose their jobs because there's no need for them. System is writing it, right? But what, whom do we need for this? See, system cannot do it on its own. Someone has to do it. And who is doing it? Who is writing this? Who is copy pasting this and putting into the code and putting into there? And where we have to copy paste this, and how do we copy that and put it again back to our collab? Or collab means where do you have to copy paste it and where do you have to execute? These all basic things have to be known, right? With, and this has to be done by some human. System cannot do that. System can do only certain things, and these all things have to be integrated and we have to put it into the proper way. Okay, I've just given you an example of this. Okay, so this is not something which I just want to mute because someone is not in mute. Okay, so I just gave an example of it, but in general, like if it is something which we have, there is a requirement in which we have to create a photo session. So you don't have to go and create build have a photo session. See, each photo session used to cost a company thousands and lakhs of rupees, because you have to pay for the models, you have to pay for the photographers, and you have to make them take good photos. They have to have proper costumes, and for the entire day we have to take care of their food expenses and all these things. But today you can just simply give a prompt and create a beautiful image of a person advertising, doing an advertising for their organization. So today, if I show you a couple of images, it will be very difficult for us to find out whether it is an AI generated image or image which is original human being. Okay, I'll just show you a couple of photos like that. Just a minute. I'll just copy paste. I'll just share it with you. Oh, I'm sorry. So what I was saying is, if you see these images in general, They can be made more realistic as well, because according to what we have today, according to the technology that we have today, it's far more superior. Okay, so we can build even more realistic images, but all these images are, AI made. There are no human beings with these faces actually. Okay, these are been made by system. So some of them are more realistic than the actual real ones. Okay, you can really cannot make it like you just see this face. It's like it looks very realistic, right? But actually it is not. This is an AI built image. But the question is, who is going to tell to the system how you have to create this, right? Someone has to be there who has to tell the system, right? So who will do it? Prompt engineers will do it. We will do it. So when we do it, we should be knowing if there is a requirement of an organization, then we should be understanding the requirement, fine tune that according to what should be the right prompt. Okay, see, what did we do here is, this was a requirement given to us, but what did we do? We fine tuned it and then gave this command to the chat GPT so that it can generate the actual program. But during this process, what we did is we used our human common sense, and we thought that first let's have greater than and then we have less than, and instead of more than we used a word called greater than, because it will be the right command. So these are not called commands, these are called prompts. Okay, the one who is giving the prompts is called prompt engineer, right? So now we are going to be in that profession of being a prompt engineer. That's what is the actual profession that we are going to get into. Hope you got the answer of why we need a prompt engineer today. Because as I told you, any person, any no matter how much the AI is developed, AI means artificial intelligence is developed, no matter how big the how big the technologies become, it's always mandatory for the human beings to intervene. And in this entire process of getting the work done, the most key role is of the prompt engineer. And do you think, is there any difficulty in doing this process? See, now this is a very simple program actually, but there might be a program which might take 10 to 15 days to develop. 10 to 15 days. But how much time are we going to take as a prompt engineer? Hardly 10 to 15 minutes. And why do we take the 10 to 15 minutes? Because we have to fine tune the question, fine tune the requirement, and then make sure that the system understands it. If it does not work, if it's too complicated, then we have to split that and add it, something like this. These all things have to be done according to the case to case scenario. Once we do that, the kind of a code that is needed for the organization, which will normally take 15 days, we can give that in 1 day. Of course, we'll finish it off in 15 minutes, but we'll have a coffee break, we'll have a lunch break, we'll have a break for watching our smartphones, and all these things put together, it might take one day. But now, even if a actual developer will spend full 24 by 7 for 5 days also, he cannot deliver that, but we can deliver as a prompt engineer for 15 minutes. And the highlight point here is that we don't know even ABC of programming also. We don't even know anything in the program, zero programming knowledge, but still we are able to do it. And there are some miraculous jobs in the world which can easily be done by AI and as a prompt engineer. Now, I'm taking the example of a software developer because today software developers are having the highest demand in the world. So now this demand would be completely replaced by prompt engineers. Today, if you see, there are millions and millions of software developers, but going forward, it will all be replaced by this prompt engineers. Not only that, every profession. I was giving you an example of a photographer. You don't have to take a lot of photographs for for a advertisement campaign. You just have to what you have to do is you have to just go simply generate it and give it to the organization. That's it. Okay, this is what we have. Just 1 second. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So I just wanted to make sure everyone is on mute. Okay, so here we're going to go ahead with uh, why prompt engineer. So as we already seen the advantages of going for prompt engineering. So by crafting effective prompts, organizations. So we are looking at the prompts being created for the organizations, not for individuals like us. Please remember that. And we have got this: organizations can enhance customer experiences, streamline the processes, and make data-driven decisions with greater precision. So prompt engineers empower businesses to leverage the artificial intelligence tools and systems effectively, enabling them to stay competitive in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. Now we have seen this, and here are so some of the examples that we can make use of for prompt engineering is enhanced accuracy and relevance. There's no way it is going to write a wrong code. Okay, so if it's a prompt engineer, I mean, if it's a chat gpt derived, most probably 99.9% the code might be correct. Okay, enhanced accuracy and relevance, improved decision making. So because if you are in a situation where you have to go through some 200 to 300 pages of code. Okay, 200 to 300 of pages of data has to be gone through, and then take a decision. Then it will take some couple of years for you to do it. For example, let's take the process of court. Okay, in general in India it will take normally 10 to 20 years to complete a code, right? Complete a case. Just a second. uh, is there any background noise from my side? Because I'll just move my place if at all, if it is anything. Are we good, or you want me to change my place? Hello. Is my voice clear, or you want me to change my place?
Yeah, it's clear, Uncle.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so here we were discussing about the concept of a prompt engineer. So we have got enhanced accuracy and relevance. I was talking about improved decision making, personalized customer experiences. We can do it, efficient resource utilization, and we have got the ethical considerations are also there, easily adaptable, and future proofing and future proofing an organization. So these are the various advantages that we have. And the path for a prompt engineer. So what is a path for the prompt engineer? Okay, what are we going to do as a prompt engineer? Okay, so now what we are doing, we are guiding the AI, we are guiding the artificial intelligence what it has to do. And how are we guiding it? By giving some input, and we are getting output. Okay, and prompt engineers will play a pivotal role in optimizing the performance, accuracy, and contextual relevance to any of the situation. Okay, and these are the few of the paths that we can have. We can understanding a task. Now imagine, let me take an example of task understanding. In the future, sooner or later, someone will come up and say, hey, why are we spending 10 to 20 years or 30 years for solving a case? Okay, what is that, what is taking time? Okay, so the biggest process that takes time in a judiciary system, okay, to give a judgment, is to a judges to go through all the permutations and combinations, to go through all the proofs. Okay, it will take 10 to 30 years to go through all the proofs, make sure that you are right, and then give a proper decision. But if you give all those documentation to the AI and ask the AI, like, what should be the judgment, it will give you to you in couple of seconds or minutes, most probably in couple of seconds. So this 10 to 30 years of time which has been taken in the judiciary system can now be solved in 10 to 20 seconds, or maybe 10 to 20 minutes in at the most, because prompting will take some time, right? So this is the kind of a time saving that can be done when we are using the AI. And then crafting prompts. See, crafting prompts is very, very important, because we need to understand. See, we were crafting the prompt, we were just fine tuning the prompt, right? Writing this here and there, and using our knowledge, you are changing the prompt. That is the crafting of prompts. Then we have the prompt alignment. It's properly aligning. See, there might be a series of questions, or there might be a series of tasks. We need to fine tune what should come first, then what should come next. So this is a prompt alignment. Okay, so in an order, keeping them in an order. And then optimizing prompt. Okay, so optimizing prompt is like, if let's say there is a 100 lines of code which the system is not catching it up there in a single prompt, then maybe you'll cut short, make it as a summary, and then that summary will be given to the given as an optimizing prompt, right? So AI modeling, AI model processing, generating output. Okay, output refinement. See, in optimizing prompt, I can just give you an example. Like, see, there is a mail. In the mail, I've got a 100 lines of mail, in which my colleague is explaining me why he was not able to do a task in the last week, and what happened, what is his personal issue. And then he completely finally says that, in another para he says what he has completed. Okay, in another para he says this is not completed. So finally what I have to copy it from the entire mail is what needs to be done. Okay, there might be 2 lines of code which I have to copy and put it in the prompt in the chat GPT, so that it will give me the output, right? So that is optimizing the prompt. And AI model processing, this is something which we are going to learn, wherein we are going to optimize again at the AI level. So what easily is understood by AI is something which we are going to do it in the AI prompt. Okay, and then we have got the generating output, then we have output refinement, then we have the iterative improvements. Iterative improvements is like, see, first time when you give, see, in the chat GPT also, if first time when you give something and the second time you give something, it will give you a different output, because system will think differently second time. Okay, and we need to understand that iterative improvements, how it will change. First time it is giving one output, second time how it is giving a second output. And it is definitely possible that the AI tools might completely give us a wrong output as well, completely wrong output. See, how do we know, in the previous case that we have taken, how do we know that the answer that is given by the program that is generated by the system is right? Because we checked it, we tested it, we made sure that it is properly working fine, we cross checked it, saying that 11 13, these are the, yeah, these are the right kind of a prime numbers, we know that, we know what are the prime numbers, right? So then it got, so now we are validating it and then making sure that we are giving it to the industry or wherever it is required. So this is all a part of prompt engineering. Okay, and there is a lot of need that these all things we'll discuss in the coming session. Okay, so I thought of making it as a very short session of 45 minutes, and just in case if you have any questions you can ask me. But before that, I'd like to tell you that the kind of a session that we are planning right now would be 10 hours of most important prompt engineering course, no matter in which profession you are or which kind of a job you would like to do in the future, this is something which is mandatory for every one of us. 10 hours of most important prompt engineering course. Then comes the 20 hours of intermediate course, and then comes the 30 hours of in-depth expert course. Okay, so this is for expertise. This is at intermediate level. This is at the expert level. Okay, so expert level of the prompt engineering. So depending upon our requirements and depending upon our career goals and all, maybe I'll discuss with the individuals, and then we'll discuss about the intermediate and expert course. But here, once you complete this 10 hours of course, we'll be having a assessment, online assessment. This is an online assessment that we'll have, and you will have a stipulated time. Like you'll be given a set of time, this much time, a particular time, and within that time you should be able to complete that assessment, and then accordingly we'll be providing a certificate of it. That's a basic level, and intermediate level also will be providing a certificate, and expert level also will have a certificate. Okay, so basically this is the plan. Now the next session for us would be on Monday. So Monday 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So I normally keep it as 45 minutes or something, but we'll see. Okay, because I'll keep some time for open questions and discussions and clarifications and all. So, but actual session will be for 45 minutes and different some time to discuss. Okay, so this will be there on Monday. Monday we'll be having it from 4 to 5 p.m. and later point of time we'll think of this thing. But then after Monday we'll have the session at Wednesday, and then we'll have the session at Friday. On Friday, same time, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. we're going to have the sessions on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Saturday would be our basic introduction. So if just in case if someone has missed the introduction, you can tell them to contact us, and then we can schedule a similar kind of a basic overview session on Saturday evening 4 p.m. So you can make a note of it, or you can take a screenshot of it or whatever it might be, and this would be there till 10 hours. Okay, and in this 10 hours I'll be telling you what will be the assessment, what assessment will be there, what would be the questions asked, and how the process will be after 5 hours of sessions. So whoever is attending the 5 hours, whoever is completing the first 5 hours of sessions, I will be explaining about the assessment, and the assessment will be done after the 10 hours of session. And once you clear that, you can go ahead with the second level, that is intermediate level, for 20 hours. I hope this is clear for you all. Okay, and I think my voice is clear, and the screen is also visible, right? So you can take a screenshot of it. And now, if you have any questions, you can discuss with me later point of time, or you can ping me in the chat box. You can ping me in the chat box, and I can answer that question if you have any questions, or we can take it offline as well. Okay, now the assignment for uh, as I told you, like there are four crore jobs based on the um, uh, on our prompt engineering, right? So you can just go through that, understand what exactly is it, and then we'll come back to that. Okay. But as of now, this is what we have, and the recording will be available to you